G'day everybody, welcome back to another episode of Craft by Tim. I am incredibly tired and it is Christmas Eve, so I'm hoping that I can keep this nice and short and edit it all and upload it by tomorrow. So it all comes out on Christmas. My Christmas gift to you guys. I started uploading again. Nice. Anyway, it's been a few weeks since I actually finished the rigging and I've actually taken it on a pretty decent run down south. I actually went all the way to Margaret River. It's actually for a future video, so you guys hopefully see what I got down in Margaret River, and I hope that it works out, because if it does, first of all, it'd be really cool, and second of all, if it doesn't, then I'll be very upset because, once again, a lot of money. Let's get into this video where I'm going to sort of unpack some of my ideas, my early ideas with the rig, as well as some other things that might just be nice information for you if you decide to undertake this build. First things first, there's a cut list, it's in the description, you can scroll through it and have a look at all of the pieces that I needed to cut. There's a few things that I'm not going to include though, and the main one is angles. Anything else I've basically probably just forgotten. But the angles are going to be different from ute to ute, and the way that I did this is that rather than cutting out miters, I actually just cut the angle and then I left a tab so that I would cover up the hole that's left, which means that you get a nice complete sort of, basically it doesn't have any holes in it and it looks much more professional, much neater, even though some of the welds don't. And I know that I'm probably going to cop a bit of slack for that because my welds aren't the best. I'm learning, guys, and to be completely honest, by the end of that build, I had learned so much, like relearned so much about welding, that I actually got way better at it, and I was really happy with the finished result of some of my welds, as well as the general rig in whole. It actually looks really nice. Anyway, back to the actual cut list. I didn't include angles. You'll have to find the angles yourself because every car is going to be slightly different. My Holden Rodeo is going to actually probably be different to another Holden Rodeo. It's still going to be different if someone else bought a Holden Rodeo. It's not to say that the tray is going to be exactly the same. And that's why I didn't want to say that the cut list is 100% correct, because chances are for your car, it may not be. It may be slightly out, and that's sort of just something that you're going to have to figure out. My car, for instance, is actually not square to the rig. Back of the tray, for some reason, isn't actually square to the sides of the tray, and because of that, I actually ended up having to drill the holes that actually mount it in on a bit of an angle, and that's just sort of what I ended up with. Well, I can't even tell you because it's just sort of, yeah. Also, if you are wondering about this, it's fine, it's not contagious. It is actually a jellyfish sting, and it was over a week ago. God damn it. Bunch of missed calls today, and they're all just from like calls from the rest of the world. Don't even care. It's Christmas Eve. Let's get into the Christmas spirit. There's the full cut list in the description, so if you want to give this a go, you can use that cut list to sort of give you a basic idea as to how it's meant to go together. Now, the fun stuff. So what I was basing this rigging off was actually something called, and I hope that I don't get in trouble for this, but it's called the Osru Adventure Tub Rack or something like that. Prices start from 600 AUD to 1,200 AUD. It's very expensive. I'm sure it's a great system, but to be fair, when I first saw it, I was like, wow, that looks like an over-glorified bracket system. I wonder if I could do something better, and that's where the whole idea for using bracket for the mesh, that's sort of where that stemmed from. Talking about how light it is, it's not exactly the heaviest thing in the world, but it's not exactly a light thing either. This is actually putting on an extra 45 kilos, well actually less than 45 kilos to my car. To put that into perspective, one of these pop-up tents weigh about 45 to 60 kilos. Me personally, when I was in Boston, I was actually sleeping in the tub of my ute, and that was fine. That worked out well for me. I actually really enjoyed the sleep. It was easy enough, just rolled out a mat and I slept. I actually slept really well, aside from possums. Thing with Adventure Tub Rack thing, it's great and it's super customizable. You can attach all sorts of things to it and it's relatively easy. But you can say the same thing about this system, and in fact you can actually make the system to be as user-friendly as you want. Say you want to take one of these sorts of jacks with you, you could actually create a spot specifically for that jack. And the price. The price is the big one. Osru, 600. Mine, around about $400. Actually a bit less. Let's begin with what things I changed and what things I like about it, as well as the original design. Side one, the mesh. It's easy to attach things to, and that's about it. I don't know how much more I can say. It's a racket system. The idea behind these racket systems is that they're meant to be able to hold something ridiculous like 500 kilos or 1,000 kilos or something like that. I took this, welded a few bars through it. It still holds it in place really well, and the racket means that I can actually still, once again, attach things to it. Something I will note though is the fact that whilst I'm driving, it does rattle. So I'm gonna get some foam or something and just fill in that sort of space. Whilst I'm thinking of it, the roof racks, I've actually put basically like grip tape, but it's sort of rubbery so that you don't scratch anything. Just run 2 strips of that over the top of the roof racks, and that way you're not gonna scratch up your tabletop if you decide to put a nice big slab of wood on there. It also adds that extra little bit of friction so that it hopefully will stay in place a little bit better. Now onto the back. Immediate adjustment that I made when I got down to Margaret River. It's very dark sometimes, and sometimes you just need a bit of light. I went out and I went to Kmart, picked up a $10 bundle of solar lights and cable tied it to the car. It works great for exactly what I need it to, and it's solar powered, so I don't have to worry about having batteries, making sure that it stays charged. There's also a rubber chicken attached to the back of my car. There's no reason behind that. Just thought I should point it out. One of my original thoughts for this particular design was that I was actually planning on having doors on the back of it. And I was thinking like solid tread plate doors, and it would look super sick, and it would almost look like I'm transporting like, I don't know, wild dogs or criminal or something like that. It would probably look a little bit out of the normal. There was a few problems that I ran into with this idea. First of all, I'd have to take off the tailgate to actually get decent sized doors. The really good idea behind this was the fact that it would have been lockable. I don't have to worry about what I leave in the back of the ute. Problem is that there's a massive gaping hole in the roof. So if you wanted to get in there, yes, you could get in there and you could steal my stuff. The doors thing, there was quite a few negatives to that. The only real positive was locking, and even then that's not really a proper positive because I can't lock it if there's a gaping hole in the roof. I wanted to do doors, but they were going to be too heavy. I wasn't going to be able to see through them, so I'd have to have mesh. If I had mesh, then you're going to be able to see the gaping big hole in the top. Just basically little things sort of just added up, and I was like, this is really more effort than what it's worth. And while speaking about blind spots, the tread plate side does actually create a bit of a blind spot, but I can also see right along the bottom there, and I can actually sort of see past it, so that's not too bad. I can still sort of turn over my shoulder and still see past that tread plate, but I can't see super well. The doors, although it would have been kind of cool, completely pointless, just really not worth it. Side 2. As I mentioned in the other video, I can't legally keep the jerry can holder on the side of the vehicle in case someone rides past it and gets taken off by it or something like that. Basically, it sticks out a little bit too far, and it doesn't comply with regulations in coordinates to jerry can holders, so I could actually keep water in it, but once again, it sticks out too far, so it's just really not worth it. Instead, I have a bit of a new idea. What I was going to do is I was going to have a table come out from that tread plate side. Using the same sort of idea, using the steel cable and everything like that, that would be a much better use of that space, and obviously I could have that lock so that it cannot fall down whilst I'm driving or anything like that. As well as the other little thing that I wanted to make difference to is probably putting a light on there. Obviously I carry a torch in my car anyway, but that's the sort of thing that is really important, but you don't usually think about up until it's too late and you've already got yourself a flat and you're out in the middle of nowhere. You're like, bugger, I really wish I had a light of some kind. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of an insight into how my brain works when I'm making these sorts of things. Anyway, if you guys have any suggestions for what I could do with the ute or anything like that, what you guys like about this or dislike, or just sort of cool concept and something that maybe I should try. So hopefully you guys are keen enough to subscribe to the channel to help me out. I really appreciate all the support whilst I've been away. It's been really good. Subscribe and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Until then, remember to stay safe, happy crafting, and as always, cheers.